Let me ask first, I want to introduce myself. I'm Aaron. Interrupt at any time with any questions. Have any of you ever actually tried to set up a membership, a paid membership site yet? Okay. How did it go?
Cluster and then pick a 4-letter word to come after that, and that's how it went.
Okay.
Mine's up and running, so okay.
Okay. Here to see if there's a better way, or
Just get ideas, see if I'm doing anything wrong or different.
Are you using a tool for it?
Yeah, I think we're using one of them. Is it membership? So I don't remember what the plug. That's a plug-in.
There's one from WPMUdev.org called it's just called membership.
Right. So it might be it.
Remember when I said use the words cluster and another word? That plugin was the reason. So I'm just going to put that in.
So you're actually just going to go through setting. So maybe I shouldn't be here if I already have a working site, right?
Well, it's I don't know. It's you could get something. What the two leading tools that I see people using are, one of them is called Membership, and as I just said, it's from WPMUdev.org, and that organization is a paid membership. So I have a developer's license, which means I pay them $420 a year. I think that's a little bit steep for a WordPress plugins group, but if the plugins are totally amazing, then it might be worth it. How I feel about that organization runs hot and cold. One month, actually, yeah, just a few weeks ago, they released a really cool plugin for pay with a like. You know, where you have content that's hidden behind something, and you force the user to like it or tweet it or +1 it in order to reveal the content. That one happens to be really nice, but I've also used their membership plugin, and the feature list looked amazing, and then the functionality was a cluster something. So I'm not trying to especially endorse or denounce any particular products. WPMU Dev sometimes has great stuff and sometimes releases things a little soon. They have one of the competing products called Membership, but the one I'm going to focus on today is called S2 Member. But you're using that?
Yeah.
Are you happy with it?
Well, I don't have any paid subscribers yet, so I only recently set it up, so
right.
I don't know if there's going to be any issues. I'm planning on really launch in July. So.
Okay, good. Congrats. Has anybody had a bad problem with S2 Member? I see. I hear crickets and I see silence. Yeah, I haven't. I tend not to hear people complaining about it. The feature sets between these two products look pretty similar, but S2 Member seems to be making fewer complaints. So I'm going to show today a bit of a tour through that one and how it works. Yeah.
I noticed you didn't talk about wishlist number. That's another popular one.
I don't know.
Oh.
Check it. Have you used it?
Yeah, I was on wishlist number.
Earlier today?
No, the blog world convention.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It's just another. It's a pay one, so it's more. But I was looking to see the difference between S2 and wishlist.
Okay. Well, I'll show you around S2, and maybe you can tell me what the difference is with wishlist. That would be good to know. Okay. One thing to bear in mind that could be easy to forget is you're probably going to need a corporate bank account because the paid membership sites that are going through PayPal are going to want to use PayPal's recurring payments. And PayPal doesn't want to let you use recurring payments unless you have a business account. So none of these, I don't think I remember paying any money for any of these things, but it takes time. So if you go home and try and get it up tomorrow, you'll want to already have your PayPal in place or and attached to a business account, which you might need to verify. If you haven't done this, usually that means that you click something on their site and then they do a weird transaction like deposit 4 cents and 3 cents into your account, and you have to go check on your recent account activity in order to prove that you own it. like that. So, and when PayPal does that, usually they say sometime in the next 3 days there will be 2 transactions for a few pennies. So you could potentially have to wait several days for that transaction to happen and then actually walk to an ATM or your branch or your e-banking, whatever. So there are a few parts that sort of need to be in place before these are going to work. The membership plugin from wpmudev.org, the one we were just complaining about, can work with Amazon payments as its gateway instead of with the PayPal recurring payments. But then that's again one more business thing that you need to set up, and you need to be a vendor with Amazon. So I would say before even opening WordPress, make sure that there is a business bank account and a business PayPal account that are ready to receive payments. There are other ways you can take payments, like Authorize.net, but those have even higher levels of requirements in terms of being an established business. So yeah, the shortest route will be PayPal Business. Okay. The other thing, I'm going to start showing you around a little bit in a moment. The other thing to bear in mind is that there are quite a few assets you'll want to collect before, if possible, before embarking on this project. What I'm going to do as I show you through the menus behind the S2 member setup, you'll see that there's a shockingly large number of menus, and each one of them has quite a few elements underneath it. You can go into as much or as little depth as you want to, but the types of things they let you customize are, say, the welcome letter. Right? You get somebody to click sign up, and it takes them to either another landing page or it displays some sort of pop-up box. So you can leave that as default, and it'll say, thanks for joining at the end. And you can send and leave a default email message that it sends out, which will also be like a plain text that says, thanks. But those are really important opportunities for selling. So you'd be kind of wasting the time to try and set up a membership site and then not really think very carefully about how are you going to push the customer at each of these stages. Even the cancellation email, when someone says, kill my account, I hate this, I don't want it, take me off your list, you still send a confirmation email saying you've been removed. So, hey, that's one more chance to say, are you sure? We really don't want you to go. So plan on, I said in the course description that you can get a site up in 60 minutes. You can, but if you want to really like it, you might want to spend a full day or a week on massaging some of these emails, maybe putting some nice design into them. Okay, before I get into the WordPress dashboard, have I created any questions? Good? Okay. So here's what we want, the general idea. I created this sample site. I've had 3 backgrounds, right, which are photographs that are for sale. Okay, this would be a simple type of thing that one might want to subscribe to, say get a delivery by MailChimp every month, or every month or week or a day with the latest batch of photos. Right. So on this site, if I click sign up now, then we're taken to a subscription page. 2 choices of membership, silver and gold, PayPal button, and something that describes the basic terms. On S2 member, you have a few more choices than membership. Both are pretty good about letting you specify like a trial period or an optional trial period, and then different types of terms for payment over time. If the last time that I compared the 2 side by side, the one called membership let you have a free trial at the beginning for X number of days, which can be 0, and then there are other billing terms, while S2 member let you charge as much as you want or include 0 or some amount of money for X number of hours, days, months, weeks, years. So it's, S2 has more choices of units if you want to do things 2 times a month or once a month or every 3 days or whatever type of structure like that. But anyway, so we've got a couple of choices, and checkout with PayPal. If I click that, it's going to bounce me over to ask for payment off-site. If you buy S2 Member Pro, then you can keep this on-site, so that you don't head out to PayPal and you don't have to give up your domain. You can keep it within a section of your own site. Personally, I think unless your business actually is big, famous, and trusted, that it's better to take it off of your site. I think even though you lose the customer momentarily, because their brand experience becomes the PayPal experience instead of yours, if I'm buying some weird thing off some weird website I haven't heard of, I would really rather see that that's a PayPal transaction than something embedded in this unknown company's site. Okay. Oops. I'm not going to do that transaction, but I'm going to look a little bit here at some of the content. Okay, and this is not letting me do much of anything because I haven't paid for the account, or I haven't logged into the paid account yet. S2 member wants to take over the WordPress login screen. You can very easily change this logo to be your own. I'm going to hop in and show what's inside the dashboard. I have not really modified this theme at all or done anything with it. It's a completely standard, straight default installation. But let's see. Now that I'm logged in, the content that was previously hidden to me is visible. And I can see, for instance, these photographs that were previously locked out since I was not logged in properly as a member. Okay. On the dashboard, this large hierarchy is what you'll be going through, and regrettably, each of these actually is a very large page. So I'm going to move pretty quickly. There is a quick start guide. If you take it home and download S2 Member, that sort of walks you through the main parts. Yeah, this is just help. Okay. Most important things here. I'm not going to touch all of them. Some things like access to the large key code that's been generated aren't. If I discuss each one of those, then we won't have time for questions. Okay. What you do want is to set up your email configuration. By the way, can you, in the back, can you see this, or is it? It's not too small?
It's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine.
Great. Okay. Okay. So, right, you're going to want to set up what's the from name for emails that you're sending, what's the address that they appear to be coming from. Yeah, and new users can have special email messages that you set up that are different from that override the WordPress default. So what I've done is to click to customize that, and you see here, there's some, you can tailor this for the user with a big list of other elements that you can inject, such as, I see you're hailing from Kazakhstan and you'll particularly like our iPad photos, or whatever. Okay. You can also, oh right, and this is the email to administrators to notify the site owner that somebody new has signed up for the list. So if you're managing your site, you probably don't need this customized. But if this is work for a client, you might want to put some special information there. Okay, right, and it's again showing the codes in line. So these aren't settings. This is just like this is just documentation or help. That's on the same screen. Okay, I'm going to scroll back up past all of this. That's just the email configuration tab on just the general options menu item. Let's see, the membership levels are also one of the most important things. But first I'm going to show here the login registration design. So this is talking about the page. I'm going to change, oops. I just changed the overall font size to 36 points, and I'm changing the background color to, let's see, red, green to yellow. Here is where that background image was set, which was, I think was actually just plain white, because there's an S2 member logo that's a little bit further down here. Hang on, shadow color for text, set that to red. Yeah, and here's a spot for the logo image. So if you hunt around enough through these pages, you can actually find front-end controls, meaning you don't have to write any code to change the appearance of that login page. And the right, logo image width, height. Okay. I am going to save those changes and show that login page so you can see what it is I've just done. Okay, right. The points, the font size was changed from 12 to 36, and and some of those background colors that I set, I think, are barely visible here in the shadows. Anyway, you have front-end controls for. Yeah, you have front-end controls for the appearances here. One thing that you'll definitely need to think about plenty in configuring a subscription site is what's the part that you're asking people to pay for, and how are you selling it to them, right? Meaning, if you completely hide, if you mark certain content, you can mark content as being for sale or for sale or free. In many ways, by post category, by date, by subject, by custom post type. But if you mark something as being illegal to display to an unpaid user, then how does that unpaid user browse the product to know that they want it? Right? If you're selling pictures and don't let them see a preview, then it's kind of hard to get them to pay. So what you may end up wanting to do is to have a double track where each of the pieces of digital media that you have for sale have a publicly visible version and have a for sale version. Right? Like with, I sell my photography online, so I have a low-res version that's got a big ugly watermark in the middle. And that's a completely different data object than the high-res version that's for pay only. You might want to think of how to relate that to your own model. S2 member will let you set up, make it so that post excerpts are free and the full post is paid. So that would be a super natural way to do it, depending on what type of content your site has. All right. Let's see, general options. Membership levels. S2 member will let you have up to 4 levels of membership for if you have the free version. It's unlimited if you have the paid version. But in any case, you probably don't want to confuse customers with too many different types of membership. You have the option also about whether allowing there to be such a thing as a free subscriber, where some things might be, you might really not let people view anything at all on your site unless they create a free account, and so that would be like a membership level 0, and then you try and upsell later. Okay, registration design welcome page. Right. What you're going to do in terms of the setup, I wish we had longer sessions here, but is there are certain pages you'll need to have on your site, like as an actual WordPress page, page editor. And one of them is going to be the page where you describe the subscription plans. I'm going to show briefly how that's constructed, since that's one of the most important elements. Let's see. Right. So here's the page that has the subscription plans on it. If I go and edit this, what we have here is mainly a shortcode that's there. So, you can see the highlighting. Yeah, this big ugly shortcode is generated by S2 member, and I'll show you where on the admin page this thing comes from. So the page that we were just looking at, right, this page, I just wanted to clarify sort of like which part of this was my design versus what does S2 member spit out, since it spits out a little bit less than I might have liked. I was kind of hoping I would just flip a few switches and have the whole thing up and running, and then it had to be a little bit more. So yeah, this page has a div and an HR, and these 2 columns, and this silver and gold membership. The code for the page that generated it has the button shortcode came from S2 member, but the rest of this, the concept of putting it inside those divs and with the horizontal rule and so forth, that code had to be mine. So out of the box, it doesn't give you a sign-up page. You need to go get the PayPal buttons and build some kind of page of your own. Then what you do is you tell it, so here there's this membership options page. This menu here lets you choose from the pages that are on your site. So this text tells you something similar to what I'm saying right now. But the way you control what users see when they're trying to sign up is just go make a new page in WordPress, build out that page the way that you want it to look, insert one or several of the short codes for the PayPal buttons, and then on this screen, in the membership options page section, you tell S2 member which page to use. I named the page subscriptions starting at $4.95. Like that is the title. The same thing happens for the login welcome page. Sorry, this is the first page that somebody sees. right, after logging in. And what I did was to set it to show recent images. Figure if somebody logs into their account, they just paid to be a member on this photo site, they probably want to see the most recent images. But you can also make that a welcome back page or whatever you like. Okay. Your profiles, URL shortening are not key based on the amount of time we have left. Going to show some, the PayPal options. Expect to spend a little bit of time clicking around with this, and expect to be ready with like a text edit window or a text mate window, something for copying and pasting keys. What you'll do is you'll be back and forth a few times between WordPress or between S2 Member and PayPal, trying to get all the proper keys set up. Right. So you'll see here in the PayPal API credentials section, this version of the plugin is saying which page to log into, but this stuff changes really fast. PayPal keeps changing their API, or they change the structure of their website, so sometimes these instructions aren't good. I've found S2 Member to be really reliable about updating their software, and if some of their instructions become obsoleted, they seem pretty quick to fix it. Right, so like one of the elements necessary, the PayPal API username, that's different from my PayPal username. That's my license to have my one piece of software attached directly to PayPal. So that works slightly differently. The inline instructions here from S2 Member are actually saying, here, this is where you're supposed to go on PayPal to extract this information. Ditto for the password, and then this signature is a big long string similar to the big long string that S2 Member generated that gets used elsewhere. Let me see. Another stage that has to happen is this IPN integration, which is a simple toolkit that makes it so that PayPal tells you when money happens to you in either direction. It's just one more step to set up and not very complicated. And personally, I love getting emails that even if it's really small, it's just I never get sick of getting emails saying someone sent you $5. Okay. Sign up confirmation email. This looks very similar to the email customizer that we just saw on the other ones for a new member being created and so forth. Right. The list of recipients. So this full name and payer email is an example here, but you could also have this CC or BCC yourself, so that you're seeing the outgoing mail traffic. You can set up your subject, and you can put wildcards inside of here, right? So I could select full name and then say, and say, let's see, a membership has been approved for there, and it'll say, if John Smith signs up, it'll say membership has been approved for John Smith in the header. Okay, here's a list of all the wildcards that can be used in that email. It includes pretty much everything that I would have thought of, the terms of the contract that they signed up for, and their name, their IP address, their location, date, and so forth. Okay. Specific post. Okay. We're going to be running low on time for getting into this, but you can, in S2 Member, have specific sale terms for an individual post or an individual page. So if you have a library of 35 pieces of digital media and you want every single one of them to have a different one-time price, you can do that. This this specific post-page confirmation email is just the thing that says, you bought piece number 17, or lesson number 12, for instance, or however it is.
Is that in the pro version or in the free version too?
This is in the free version. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, right. Both packages that I described are pretty nice about having end-of-term behavior, which is what happens if somebody ends their subscription. Either they say that they want to cancel, or they click on "Don't send me any more of this," or most importantly, their credit card fails. And how quickly do you handle it? Right, in this case, you've got choices for whether you convert them back to being a free subscriber or if you just erase them completely. And, oops, let's see, right, and also, right, whether you want this done automatically or not, right? You can set it so that if there's a refund or a reversal, or if something goes wrong on your card, do you want the system to just tell you about it so that you can go do something with that user, or do you want to just pay them right away? The assumption is that for a chargeback, you always want to immediately kill their access. If you haven't ever set up e-commerce before, chargeback is when the customer calls and says this is fraud, and or this is wrong, or they've stolen from me, or I didn't do this, and make it right, make it fix it. And in case you don't know, the consumer is always king, and as a merchant, you will always get screwed in a bad way. PayPal charges a lot of money when that happens, so if you have a friend with an e-commerce business, you don't order something and then say it never came, because you create a huge headache for them. It costs them way more than the rest of the transaction put together. But anyway, so if someone does that to you, you definitely want to cancel their access immediately. Okay. Is that a question?
Since you asked.
Yeah.
Can you have various levels of membership? Like, these members can do X on the site, these members can do Y.
Yes.
These members can do X and Y.
Yes, you can. It's just the time's a little bit too compressed for it, but the answer is you totally can do that. You can set up completely different privileges for level 0 and level 0 free and levels 1 through 4, which can mean anything that you want.
Can it be integrated with BuddyPress or something like that?
Yes, it can be integrated with BuddyPress, and you can, at the time of sign up, you can specify custom BuddyPress profile fields and have it grab those and pull them together.
So it works well with it.
Yeah.
Related question.
Yeah.
Is there a way to sync up your membership registration with, for instance, something like commenting? The ability to comment on your site? Or would you have to register separately for that?
The ability to comment on your site.
With
well,
one avatar? Or...
Right,
Yeah.
because if you have your site set up so that users must be registered in order to comment.
Right.
Then does this count as being registered is what you're asking.
Or could it?
I think it's a good question. I think it automatically does.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. You can also, we don't have time for all of this, but you can also integrate with MailChimp and Aweber. Yeah, that's sort of moving faster as the clock's getting down. In order to do the MailChimp integration, you really just give it your API key. If you've got multiple lists on MailChimp, then you can specify what list they're signing up for by signing up here. And let's see, right, so we have like list ID, list ID for level 1 members, list ID for level 2 members, level 3 and level 4. So further to your question, not only can you give them different rights on the site, but you can make it so that
They get different emails.
yeah, the bronze member gets the bronze email, and at the bottom of it, everyone says, here's what you're missing because you're not silver, and the silver ones get the one that says, here's what you're missing for not being gold, or whatever.
Is it maxed out at 4? Can you have more than that?
It's maxed out at 4 unless you pay for it. This is still the free product we're talking about. Yeah.
How much is it?
Free.
No, I mean the pro version.
Oh, you know what, I checked again.
I was just looking at that.
$69.95 for a single domain, and there's like.
$129 for the multiple sites.
Right.
Right, yeah, and then, yeah, so the answer was, it's about $70 for one domain, $130 for multiple, and it's like $230 or $240 if your multiple is actually a blog farm, like if you allow people to come and create their own website with one click. I don't know how much they enforce that, but they said for the multiple unlimited, they wanted it to be like, you know, unlimited domains under your control. Yeah.
With the email integration, if they cancel their payment subscription, does it automatically remove them from the email list?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an awful lot of programming that somebody put into this to save you the trouble, which I think is just great. I've never used Aweber, so I can't speak to the quality of this integration, but besides that it appears to look pretty similar to what's on the MailChimp side. You can also, at the time of registration, put an extra little checkbox that says something like, yes, I want to receive regular updates by email, with the default where it's checked off. And so then if you're using MailChimp, for instance, you can go ahead and tell MailChimp that you don't want to require the double opt-in because you're going to consider those users to already be formally opted in because of this checkbox, and that takes a step out of it. Some people like to leave that step in anyway because there are arguments that if you force someone to acknowledge that they signed up for the mailing list, they're going to be more engaged later. That's for the site people to try and figure out. But yes, and this is the question that I think you just asked about the automate, unsubscribe, and opt-outs. So the answer is yes, it can handle that if you want it to.
And then are there like APIs of some kind, so if I wanted to trigger some event that I was going to custom create as well?
Trigger an event like what?
I don't know, add someone to some other database that I created somewhere else.
Not sure. I haven't looked
Okay.
at. I understand the question,
yeah,
but I don't know the answer.
If I have my own MailChimp, let's say, or whatever, that I wanted to have it trigger some other.
Right. If you had your own.
Yeah. Okay. So other sublists or integrations.
Yeah. If you had your own MailChimp, then.
Or whatever,
yeah.
or your own something.
Yeah. If you wanted to make it so that, for instance, it sends you a text message every time someone subscribes. That's a completely unrelated function.
Yeah.
I
there
don't.
is an ST number API to do all kinds of things.
There's some form. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. I think if there's time for one other thing, I think what you want to see is guys, where the actual features are. At the post level, you can give a list of specific posts or IDs of post types. Yeah. Okay. For each of the levels that are required. Also, you can restrict who's able to access pages. Also, you can restrict who's able to access by tag, by category. The URI rules are really handy for BuddyPress, where you can say, let's suppose you want somebody to pay before they can access your custom profile group page 2, because that's where you have the, I don't know, the fancier bio. Or maybe you've got one of the plugins installed where people can upload a video of themselves, and you want to restrict that. You can type in just a fragment of the URI, so that relates to it, such as let's see. I believe, I could be remembering this wrong, but I believe that will having just that will stop someone from editing page 2 of their own profile or page 3 of their own profile. If I'm wrong about those URIs, it's something really similar. So you can use this to restrict, or even, let's see, right? If you've got an extension that's using the URI slug my-photo-albums and burying it somewhere in the full URL, you can just stick it over here, and that'll make it so that the user has to be level 0 or higher, or you can put it over here, level 2 or higher. So that's probably the silver member, or however you're calling it. Right, that can also be used to restrict access to BuddyPress comments, BuddyPress activity stream, things like that. Let's see.
I have a quick question. I mean, like you were showing that like you would restrict it by optionally like post types or the post IDs, whatever. Like if you're editing a post, can you set the level when you're writing the actual post?
Yeah, great. That's a great question. Yeah. Here, I will create a new post, and
there you go. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, post level restriction is it just appears right next to it. So at the time that you're making it, and yeah, this custom capabilities I haven't gotten into. It's for your own custom scripting. I haven't yet found anything in the normal range of activities that S2 didn't do that I wanted.
So you could restrict something to level 1 and level 4. Could you do that? Or does it have to be this or higher? Do you know what I mean?
Strangely, it has to be this or higher.
Yeah.
Level 4 has to be able to do everything that the ones below it can. And I don't quite get that. I don't know if that disappears in the paid version or not. I'm not entirely thrilled with that.
Yeah, because there are definitely cases where you want to create types of users. You know what I mean?
Yeah, user like type A, type B, type
that
C.
have access to some content, not other content, but not like a hierarchy.
Yeah, you can grant access to specific, to individual posts or individual pages on a per user basis, but I agree that sounds like a bit of a weird spot. I thought I saw another question. Maybe not.
So that was my question too, was whether like you can do 1 and 4, but 4 has all the access that 1, 2, and 3 have, whereas if you just wanted 4 to have this, 3 to do something completely different, that's not with this one?
Yeah, it's not A, B, C, D, and then you can have an AC or an ABD. It's not that they have to be stacked up.
Is there a plugin that does that? Like I've been looking for one, I haven't seen.
So I actually went to a talk this morning about Paid Membership Pro.
Paid membership.
And it's a free plugin, but it does that.
Oh, it does. So it lets you.
It's like a checkbox more than this, which is a drop down.
Yeah.
This seems like a much more comprehensive in its like, feature set that I like with its the multitude of options than Paid Membership Pro.
But
so,
except for that one functionality, yeah.
Except for that.
Cart 66, from what I hear, Cart 66 does that too.
Okay.
So
but Cart 66?
Oh, interesting. There's I heard about an e-commerce product called I think Bin 66 or Bin 67.
Yeah, Cart 66 used to be PHP purchase or PH purchase or something along those lines.
And
but apparently it does that. I haven't.
It handles different member types that are totally unrelated.
Yeah, but it's more of an e-commerce than a membership plugin, so you're not going to get all that cool integration that you're going to get from this.
And there are ways there are workarounds for that particular situation, like duping content, stuff like that, right?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would definitely be.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe even in the thing where you were showing that you could plug in the post IDs, because it said post ID for level 2, you could probably put in the same post ID. And maybe get around it for those certain specific posts. Maybe if it was like you had 100, maybe you wouldn't want to do it, but at that point, just duplicate the content.
Good. Okay. I think we're about done. If anyone has any questions, I'll write my email address up on the pen that doesn't exist. I'll write my email address up here. Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay. There we go. That's me. Thank you very much.
Okay.